Welcome back to Harbour Unboxed. Tim and myself have found the Asrock booth. And you know we always love checking out new Asrock products, and we've been told there are quite a few Asrock products here. A few new systems as well, some interesting looking ones, so we want to get in and check those out. And of course some refresh Z790 motherboards, and then some other motherboards that I think may have come due to community feedback, some stuff that I think you guys will be very interested in. So anyway, we'll get into all of that, but before we do, the Harbour Unboxed Computex coverage is brought to you by MSI and Thermal Grizzly. Check out MSI's Radix tri-band Wi-Fi gaming routers supporting ultra-fast Wi-Fi 6E speeds, next-generation AI-driven quality of service powered by a 1.8 GHz quad-core CPU, and to ensure maximum performance, hardware reliability, and network stability, MSI includes a premium heatsink to keep temperatures in check. So if you want to game or create on the latest 6 GHz band and enjoy interference-free Wi-Fi for concurrent tri-band transfer speeds, then check out MSI's latest range of Radix routers via the link in the video description. Also supporting our Computex trip is Thermal Grizzly and the new Cryo Sheet, a high-performance graphene thermal pad that contains no liquid and therefore isn't subject to the kind of degradation seen with traditional thermal pastes, such as drying out, for example. It offers outstanding thermal conductivity, simple installation, and extreme longevity. So for more information, please check the link in the video description. Alright, so we've found quite the interesting product here. It doesn't have an official name. Apparently they're not allowed to give it a name at this point in time. We're not actually allowed to have a look at the hardware inside. So you might think that makes it difficult to make a video on it, and it kind of does. At the moment it's called just the Desk Slim, but it's the AM5 version. So there is a X300 ITX version, which was the AM4 version. And what it is it's a really cost-effective sort of workstation platform that doesn't have a chipset. So it uses the CPU's SoC, so that saves a lot of money. Basically, what Asrock have told us is this case here, with a power supply, I think it's 500 watt power supply, the motherboard power supply case, $200 US for the whole lot. Basically, less than what most AM5 motherboards cost by themselves. It's got 4 DIMM slots, they're guaranteeing DDR5 6000 speeds, and yeah, just crazy. So you can basically get most of the computer for $200, put your CPU in there, some storage, and you could use the onboard graphics, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. They told us that, I mean, this system right here has the Ryzen 5 7600 inside, but I believe they were saying this should also work with the Ryzen 7 parts, like the 7800 X3D.
Yep, they said that.
So it should be spec'd up to sort of the power capabilities of that. You know, the AM4 board that's on the other wall from us over here, you know, it doesn't have the most insane VRM you've ever seen. So, you know, Ryzen 9 parts, maybe a little bit of a struggle on a board like this, but we're talking about something that's super affordable and comes with a case and power supply, as you said, for $200 US. I mean, that's pretty compelling. And you look at the sort of size of this, and it makes for a pretty interesting workstation option given the power and performance of that platform.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, they've got a RTX A2000 in there, so little workstation GPU. You could conceivably put a small form factor graphics card in there and turn it into a gaming system. Not sure to be the most cost effective. Having said that, that would still be a pretty cheap computer with like a Ryzen 5 in there. So just really interesting the fact that you don't necessarily need the chipset because you have the SoC on the CPU, and you're still getting PCI Express 5.0 M.2 from the CPU with a secondary M.2 and then a primary PCIe 4.0 x 16 slot. So,
and 4 DIMM slots on the board for memory as well.
4 DIMM slots, all the latest USB stuff. They sort of talked about there could be potential for USB 4 and stuff like that to be added to future models. So pretty cool, I thought. I was
quite compelling. Compelling.
Very compelling little system there. All right, I think Asrock's been listening to you guys because we have a new series here, the Tai Chi Lite. So it's available in the B650E. There's also a Z790 version. What's really interesting about this board is it's still a Tai Chi motherboard. So it's exactly the same as the original board in terms of features, specifications, all of that good stuff. So big VRM, loads of USBs, M.2s, all of the stuff you'd expect on a flagship board, but they've cut the fat. So
exactly, yeah.
The stuff a lot of you guys complain about, excessive RGB lighting, fancy little gear working and stuff on the chipset heatsinks, you know, elaborate heatsinks, most of that's gone. And what do you reckon, Tim?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, they're telling us that the board could cost $80 to $100 less than the version with the things like RGB lighting and stuff. And when you see the two boards, I mean, the shroud area around the chipset has been reduced to a more basic heatsink. We'll show B-roll of this. We've seen, the more fancy reflective shroud has been replaced with a more basic shroud. Heatsinks have been reduced, and it's interesting how just reducing those things without affecting things like VRM and features has resulted in such a price reduction, which would make things like B650E, which has been hounded for how expensive it is, you're still getting all the features. It just makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to us that a product like this should exist.
That's right.
Before.
It's great to have the two options because, a lot of you don't want to pay, excessive amounts of money for things that you don't actually want, like what Tim was pointing out. So having the ability to get a high-end flagship board like that feature set without having to pay, the prices we're used to seeing for those boards, I think it's very cool. So I'm excited about these light boards, and as Tim said, something that we probably should have seen a lot earlier. But again, it's probably feedback from you guys that have resulted in this product being a thing. All right, and more refreshed Z790 motherboards. So we've looked at some from MSI, again hinting at a 14th gen refresh. So Asrock's done much the same. Wi-Fi 7 is on the high-end boards. This one has 5 gigabit LAN. Magnetic M.2 covers, they're a new feature they've got. And this board in particular, the Nova, has the most M.2s on board of any board on the market with 6. So the primary's PCIe 5.0, the rest are 4. So very cool board there. Like that. I'm not sure on pricing or anything like that. But
it's a high-end board, so
it's
you can
a high-end
expect
motherboard. And then we have the Riptide. So the Riptide series has been quite good. Again, 4 M.2s for this one, I think, in total. Well, 4 with a...
it's got 5, actually.
With a 5th as the PCIe 5.0. So, good board there. But I think the most interesting one, at least for you guys, will be the new Lightning board. This one has an upgraded VRM, so 14 power stages, now 16. So 2 extra power stages there. Again, hinting that these upcoming CPUs probably use a bit more power. But good looking board there. Again, not quite sure on the price of this one, but it is a refresh product that's just designed to give a bit more compared to what they were offering with the current 13th gen parts.
Yeah, so it doesn't have Wi-Fi 7 or 5 gigabit networking, so that's a little different to the more premium models. But, we're still getting some of those other features. So not as many feature refreshes for that board, but as you say, it's sort of that more entry-level, affordable Z790 motherboard. So I'm keen to see your testing on that, especially with the more beefy VRM that they're giving.
That's right. I haven't actually done any real Z790 testing, but I would start with the entry-level boards. And that's probably something we'll try and make time for when we get back to testing and stop enjoying Computex.
Yeah.
All right, well, I, for one, was very excited about those light motherboards, the Taichi light ones, getting rid of the RGB, all that nonsense. Balin was probably a bit sad to see that happen, but you got options now.
Yes, it's really good to see. I was keen on seeing those new cheaper designs that they sort of brought out by community feedback. I think that's a really awesome idea, and it's a good response to increasing motherboard prices. Let's just delete the RGB. Awesome, love it.
And it saves $100.
Yeah, it's a
$80
big
to $100
saving.
US. That's a massive saving. So and I love the idea of that small form factor PC with the just using the SoC off the CPU.
Yeah,
I don't know why we haven't seen more of that, because you don't need to add the chipset in. You don't need all that extra stuff in small form factor builds.
It's basic, but that's the point. It's basic. It's basic. It's cheap. It makes sense.
So
it makes sense.
Some unexpected cool finds there. So it was great to check out the Asrock booth this year at Computex 2023, and we'll have some more coverage coming soon. So we'll catch you then.